Plug and Play plays a key role to BNP Paribas globally. We have a global partnership with Plug and Play that gives us access across all different international markets to startups in that particular market. So it's a key part of us, part of what we do from an open innovation perspective. So for Bank of the West being here gives us an opportunity to meet and work with different startups just right in our back door.
Today we are looking for new startups both in fintech and cybersecurity that could help us meet our financial goals as well as meet and exceed the expectations of our customers to provide them with a much better customer experience and an experience that will take them into the future.
I'm here to meet with particular startups that we've identified as being promising, some of whom we already partner with, and to talk to those in attendance about what successful innovators do with respect to their innovation strategy.
The event today really showcases the collaboration between Money 2020 and Plug and Play, and I just think the connections and the network that Plug and Play brings to the table is superlative. And so I collaborate with Plug and Play as a mentor, really to meet new companies and to exchange ideas on new trends and topics within security.
Plug and Play, bringing together all of the large financial institutions, the diversity and global aspect of what Plug and Play has done by bringing all these financial institutions to meet with startups in Silicon Valley, which is the center of innovation, I think is really important for the financial services community, because there needs to be continued dialogue between incumbents and startups so that they can learn about each other and figure out ways to work together.
Our goals as a company is to build relationships with these companies when they're early, help them understand how to navigate the MasterCard waters. We want to be there when they're making brand decisions, and at the end of the day, we want companies to like us when they're young, so when they're really big, they see us as a partner and less as a vendor.
Plug and Play has been fantastic in helping us with setting up some pre-scheduled meetings, events like this one, just to have a networking event when you can meet partners from different verticals that our solution has a very good fit to. So they have been extremely supportive, extremely helpful, and we're very, very excited about the opportunity to be a part of Plug and Play.
Welcome everybody. How's everybody's energy? So what you have up here are the three heads of fintech for our Plug and Play program for the first time in the same building for almost 2 years. So to the right of me, you have Omid Mehranfar, leads our activities in all Middle East and Europe, and RJ Carver, who directs our fintech program out in New York. Very happy to be here today. Special thank you to all the new partners that are joining us. Just wanted to quickly highlight, as a partner of Plug and Play, you're a global partner, so you get access to everything that we're doing. If you have any questions regarding, say, our Middle East or European operations or what we're doing on the East Coast, feel free to flag any of us down. We can provide you with a nice update. Special shout out to Boubion Bank, Elo Card, First Abu Dhabi Bank, Oryx, and Voya Financial for joining us for the next class. We are now up to 44 partners in total in our financial technology program here. I'll back up here so you guys can see the screen. Very impressive what we've built these 4 years. This is now batch 8, so accumulation of the total time of us launching. We have launched 8 locations to date. Everything pretty much ties back to what we're doing here in Silicon Valley. Apart from that, some upcoming key events. This is our expo. So this is pretty much the last major fintech event we have here in Silicon Valley. However, if you want to go visit us in, say, Abu Dhabi, Frankfurt, Shanghai, or Singapore, we have expos and programs that are ending at a later time this year. As well as for next year, we're making a big push in the asset, wealth, and investment management space. Big partnership with Morningstar, and we'll be co-hosting an event together in January. And then for key dates, for all the partners, potential partners here in the audience, we'll be launching our next batch at the end of February with our selection day. I want to quickly give you a snapshot of our portfolio. 63 companies in the portfolio to date. A lot of exciting press over say, Q3. Of the 63 investments, we made 15 of those, of which this year alone. In Q3, we were touted in, say, PitchBooks, as well as Crunchbase, as the most active seed stage investor in Q3. We were the 4th most active early stage investor. So, like you said, we did about 262 deals last year. I wouldn't be surprised if we topped that in 2018. We hit a record with regards to deal flows. We had 76 deal flows in batch 8. What that means is averaging over 1 per workday. over these past 12 weeks. And we've seen 18 of our companies secure another round of funding, whether that's raise an additional seed, close out a Series A, or even B or C in some cases. I want to now pass over the mic to my colleague Omid, who can share some of our updates, exciting news, and what we're doing in Paris, what we're doing in Frankfurt, as well as Abu Dhabi. Please give a round of applause for Omid.
Thank you, Max. Before I begin, I wanted to really extend a thank you to the corporate partners for your continuous trust and support for empowering and enabling us to grow into what we've become today. A fintech platform not just supporting and servicing corporations here in the US, but now abroad across 11 different offices internationally. So with that, thank you, and a round of applause for yourselves and the audience. So Plug and Play FinTech, it's been one hell of a narrative. RJ, Max, and myself, along with one of our colleagues, Scott Robinson, founded this. And we were servicing financial institutions from around the world, supporting them with their specific business line needs, to even various other ad hoc value-add services tailored towards supporting them achieve their KPIs. Around 2016, a few of our really key clients in the financial services sector started approaching us saying, guys, what you're doing in the Silicon Valley to support us is fantastic. However, us being, in some cases, a French bank, to really augment the partnership and further enhance our service and basically the value we can receive out of Plug and Play, we would love to do something in closer proximity to our leadership. So with that being said, BNP Paribas was one of our first major key clients to expand our first international fintech operation to over in Paris. It's been one hell of a program, one hell of a ride, where we staffed a team and co-launched and co-managed an innovation lab with BNP Paribas' strategy team, whereby we were working with each individual business unit, not just in the French zone, but across their different EU operations. Within a year and a half, that program has led to over 25 pilots, of which there have been 10 commercial agreements, and basically tangible ROI has already been seen with these engagements with startups. So we saw that bringing some of our engagements in closer proximity to our partners is of huge value to really leverage Plug and Play's international sphere of influence. Right after BNP, we were fortunate enough even to expand our operations into Frankfurt to work with the likes of Deutsche Bank, DZ Bank, Ariel Bank, Nets Group, to name a few. And we're very proud for the first time to have entered the Middle East market with a fintech focus to begin with, in partnership with the Abu Dhabi government to further support and service the financial services sector, while also being able to empower local and international entrepreneurs to scale their businesses while bringing value to FIs. Our expansion, I'd have to say we probably have a couple of other offices coming up very soon that you should all be aware about. But one key piece of advice to all our partners that have been continuously working with us is utilize us. Leverage the fact that we have a presence internationally to optimize your own and leverage us as a resource to expand on your own innovation initiatives. We have a few key clients who really juice and milk that, and they've seen the results. The numbers are there. That's as high level as I can go to proprietary reasons, but with that being said, I'd love to hand it off to my colleague and counterpart, RJ Carver.
Absolutely. So that was pretty perfectly stated. So I just have to echo the thanks to all of our new partners, and very pleased to host Voya Financial, who is our first partner out of New York right here. But yeah, so I'm currently our boots on the ground on the East Coast. Our New York office has very much been an extension of what we're doing over here. So I encourage all of you, as you're getting a little bit farther along with these startups, as they're getting closer to implementation, closer to business unit leaders, come visit us in New York. We've got a great host of companies out there, and we've already got one partner. We're looking to build out the network with 5 founding partners, and at this point, we're looking to get a critical mass of activity. So, if you're passing through, if you're coming from Europe, anything otherwise, please join us for a session. I would love to host you. We're located at 31 in Madison and Flatiron, so pretty prime location. And yeah, so anyone who'd like to come through, please let me know. But before I take up any more of your time, I'd like to introduce our keynote speaker. Carol Grunberg has worked extensively across technology and payments, both in startups and large organizations in the US, India, and China. She currently serves as the head of global key accounts for Ant Financial, where she oversees business development and operations for the global partners of Ant Financial mobile wallets across Asia. Prior to Ant Financial, Carol was with Google, with which she joined in 2011, rising to head of business development, and was integral to the launch of Google Hands-Free, Android Pay, Google Wallet, among other Google Commerce and payments initiatives. So with that said, we're very excited to host Carol. Please give me a big, warm round of applause for our keynote speaker. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. It's great to be here. Does anyone have any idea what this is? Awesome. This was one of the greatest technical breakthroughs of its time. In the early 80s, François Mitterrand, which was the president of France at the time, rolled this out across Europe. And it was actually one of the It was really the web across France, and really it led to a lot of the insight that we have today, which was kind of the pinnacle to a lot of things that we use day in and day out on the internet now. So it had everything that we do today. It had messaging, bill payment, had chat, it had online dating. It even introduced the first really App Store model. So it had matched developers with this paid subscription of being able to pay out to developers and match. I see a couple smiling people. I think there might be some who have used the Minitel. But this really touched upon things then that no one had ever seen before. And as a child, I grew up in France, and I remember my grandmother using this to order groceries or to search for things and doing a whole slew of things. And by the early 90s, 10 years later, it went from no one having this to everybody having it, but then it actually started to break down as the internet started to flourish. But this was actually incredible, and it rolled out really quickly, and just as quickly it went away as a new technology was introduced. But the thing that was amazing about this was that the insight that it provided as to what could be possible. So I'm going to focus today for the next 15 or 20 minutes about insights, and also how to just keep a pulse on what's happening and how important it is, as we all know, to really keep a focus on how volatile and uncertain certain conditions are. But it's pinnacle to have an insight. And that technology is what used to be what leapfrogged us into the future, but now really it's just the foundation to everything, and really it's the insight that is key to making sure we're successful tomorrow. So I had a pivotal moment in 2005, I moved to India. And during that time, this is what I encountered. Who's been in India? Great. All right, about maybe 15, 20% of you. These are the roads in India. It's crazy. And so you have 3 lanes of highway. You've got 6 rows of cars. So I had a driver who looked very similar to this gentleman. His name was Sarvana. And Sarvana was really a person who changed my life. So he was my driver for the next 3.5 years. And I knew what poverty was, but it wasn't until I met Sarvana and his family and really a whole slew of people when I lived in India that I really understood how difficult it was for a lot of people who didn't have access to equal opportunity, equal resources, simply because they didn't have access to financial services. And Sarvana had a wife named Devi who was 7 months pregnant with their child. And I was unable to pay Sarvana, although he had a proper job as my driver. He had a regular wage. I couldn't pay him on a regular basis because he could only be paid in cash because he couldn't get a bank account. He was poor and therefore had to constantly move. And because he didn't have a permanent a permanent address, he couldn't get a bank account. And hundreds of millions of people live like this in India and around the world. And so Sarvana, it was inconvenient for me to pay him on a regular basis because I had to go get cash. And then I had to change when I paid him because he would get robbed. People would find out. This class of society would get cash on hand certain days of the week, and so I had to change. Sometimes I paid him on a Friday, sometimes it's a Sunday, sometimes it's a Wednesday, and this was really tough. And so although inconvenient for me, this was horrifying for Sarvana, who needed things to buy for everyday goods, right? Devi was pregnant, they needed to buy things for their house and the baby and so on and so forth, but life was just so much more challenging and so much more inefficient simply because he was poor and didn't have access to financial services. And I realized, wow, this is really how the majority of the world lives. And so that was the insight for me, and that was such a pivotal moment that forever changed my life, and it stuck with me. And so it just kind of stayed in the back of my mind. So that's what I'll kind of focus on. So what does that mean when we have insights? What do we do with that? And how does that apply to technology and fintech and everything we're all doing and the way the world is changing? Well, 3 things I'll focus on. Is that despite the fact that there is no information about the future, we can use insight to address tomorrow's needs. We should also have a long-term focus, that's clear. And also, we should constantly recognize that we live in a very VUCA environment. And never forget that. And by VUCA, it's a volatile, uncertain, complex, and very ambiguous world. It's constantly changing, so we have to be flexible. So what do these 2 females have in common? They're both women, both female. They both have electronics. Emily on the plane will not know. She'll never listen to music on a CD. She won't watch a movie on a DVD. She'll have it in a digital format like she has it here. So she'll watch it on her iPad. She'll listen to music, movies, and it will always be in this form factor. In the future, probably even something different, right? Something even more virtual. Devi, here to my left, on your right, before, she used to be able to sell her goods, and as a small business owner, she used to be able to sell this to the people in her community, probably within a maybe 2 to 3 mile or 3 kilometer max, right? But now, because of this mobile that she's holding in her hand, she could take a photo of her goods, she could have a courier come and pick it up, and she could actually ship her goods not just to her neighboring village, but across the world. And she could also now receive money directly into her account. She has access to financial services, she could run a global business, and she has the same access to resources and information, and she's on, in essence, on the grid, literally, the same as Emily. Emily and Devi now have equal access to resources through technology, and she's now running, as I said, a global business, and she has financial inclusion as a result of being able to have money stored in a more secure place and being able to sell and buy things from all over the world and receive payment and store it safely through this digital form factor, which is her mobile. So I'll focus 2 slides only on what we're focused on at ANT to kind of tie it back as to the relevance here for us. So our mission here at ANT is, and this drives everything that we do, and this is it. ANT is dedicated to bringing the world more equal opportunities through building a technology-driven open ecosystem and working with other financial institutions to support the future needs, the financial needs of society. So, apologies for the formatting here, but this is kind of the timeline of where we started and where we are. So in 2004, we started with Alipay, which was essentially a way of building trust between small business owners and users on our Taobao, Alibaba's Taobao platform. We acted as an escrow service. 2010, we moved forward to do express payment, which was online one-click checkout. 2010 as well, we started lending to small businesses based on a whole slew of signals that we had to things on that where they couldn't get access to loans in the traditional system because, again, you know, in a lot of places they weren't able to have access to money, and so it's something that we were able to provide to them to give them, again, a means to enrich their lives. And so we started doing that in 2010. In 2011, we did what was QR payments, which is enabling small business owners to accept payments offline and also consumers to be able to spend offline. In 2013, we introduced what was called Yolbao, which is our wealth management product, which is now the largest wealth management product in the world, surpassing Goldman in total assets last year. And that was basically a new way of enabling anyone to be able to hold a wealth management portfolio by very, very small transaction amounts and having it be liquid. In 2016, we introduced with the UN Environmental Protection Agency Ant Forest and Ant Love. Ant Love is not a dating site. Ant Forest and Ant Love are, Ant Forest is where we made a vow, a commitment rather, that for every, when we started tracking for every gram of CO2 that was reduced as a result of people doing a transaction that was digital, we made a commitment to reforest the Inner Mongolian desert and Gansu deserts with reforesting of trees. And so far, we have 350 million users that have opted into Ant Forest, and we've planted 55 million trees. Over the next 5 years, if it continues, we will have reforested, replanted trees enough to equal 5 times the size of New York City. Ant Love is where it's Ant Love is, you could play this game where you get this chicken, and for every time you do something online, the chicken lays an egg. And then you could use those eggs that act as points, and you use those points to donate to a charity of your choice. And then we use the blockchain to track where those donations go so that it's a transparent ledger to ensure that the intended recipient of that donation goes to exactly where you intended it to go. So there's a lot of crimes associated sometimes with charitable giving, and so we make it fun to ensure that people want to give more, give back to society, but then use the blockchain to make it transparent and ensure that you see where your money is going. So those are just a few ways. And then it's actually, it went over to the end, and then in 2018, in June of this year, we did the world's first blockchain-based wallet-to-wallet remittance. And so that was from our wallet in Alipay Hong Kong to Gcash in the Philippines, where we did a transmission in under 3 seconds using, again, on the blockchain. And so this is the first time this was done. And so this is something that we're starting to roll out. So we started in China, and what are we doing now? So we are, again, these are the partnerships we've done so far. We have 9 in total outside of China. These are our partners globally. I'm sure everyone knows Paytm. They're very well known. Kakao in Korea, Gcash in Philippines, EasyPayza in Pakistan, Bcash in Bangladesh, etc. But again, our partners share the same philosophy, right? You have very industrious countries, you have high smartphone penetration, and then these are some of the countries that don't have access to traditional financial systems, and you have people like Devi, like Saravana, who really need access to financial systems in order to have financial inclusion, equal access to resources, and so this is really where we focus. Does anyone know the average age of the person in the Philippines? Anyone want to take a guess? Shout it out. 14 is low, but 25, who said 25? Right, spot on, 24, that's right. What's the average age in the US? 55. Not 55, 38. The average age in the Philippines is 24. And so when you've got 100 million people with an average age of 24, that's pretty good. And so what does that mean? So you've got an industrious population, and just like Devi that you saw earlier, or Emily who's on the phone, who's on the plane, Emily won't know to watch a movie or listen to music in any form factor other than probably her iPad or her phone. Devi and a whole slew of people around Asia and other parts of the world are going to they know how to use money, in essence, on their mobile as well. And so these are economies and these are populations where you have a very young consumer base that's growing and that's moving to engaging with technologies and financial services in a completely different way. And not because they sometimes don't have, sometimes the tools aren't there, like music and other factors, or money and other form factors, but simply because they don't need to. They could go right to their phone, like movies on your phone, music on your phone, and now financial services on your phone. And so this is representative of some of the countries here that we're partnered with. So what does this mean? So again, going back to how do we pull all this together and what this means for us. So in general, keeping a strong pulse on what's happening globally, right? What are the trends? What are those weak signals that you see starting to emerge? Just like the Minitel taught us in the early 80s that, yeah, this is something that's pretty revolutionary, right? It taught us the app model, it taught us messaging, it taught us chat, it taught us so many things about search. What are global trends that are happening today in other parts of the world that gives us insight as to really what's important? What do people want? How are people living their lives, and how are they engaging with technology? What does population tell us? The population growth, the age, how should we think about that as to how consumer behavior and user behavior is going to change based on the population size and where they live and what they have access to? What are their consumption patterns, and what does that mean to our businesses? What are their societal values, right? And how does that factor into what we're doing? And then also, lifestyle changes. With everything that gets introduced, there's an effect to that. There's a consequence to that. There's always going to be a downstream effect. So how do you think about that, right? So if everything that we launch, then 2 other things also need to be introduced into the market as a result. So how do we think about 2, 3, 4 steps ahead? So as my last slide, I'm just going to close it out again, the things we look at is, okay, so what does that mean, right? So once we have an insight, what do we do, right? Kodak had an insight with digital early on, but then what do you do with it when you have an insight? You take action, you figure out, okay, what does this mean? And you look at the trends and you figure out how do we apply it, right? And then also, and I think this is where it's the hardest, right? Because we're all very KPI and short-term driven, but making a commitment to the long term. And then also, but having the ability to navigate VUCA, the volatility, uncertainty, and complexity and ambiguity of forever changing landscape globally, and it's moving so fast, but there has to be a commitment to the long term with VUCA always in mind. And then also, I think, and this is, I think, the most important thing, it used to be that technology was the game changer. Technology is no longer the breakthrough, but technology is the underpinning to everything, but it's now the insight that's the breakthrough. And that's it. Thanks.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Let's hear it one more time for Carol. It was a great presentation. Awesome. So some of you know me. I am Evan Pope. I help run the FinTech investment team here at Plug and Play. Really exciting numbers Max put up earlier, and today we're really excited to share with you some of the startups we have here in this latest batch. We scour the planet to find some of these people, and they're such great assets to Plug and Play. And I wanted to share some fun facts with a few of you. Since they wrote them down, I felt like I should share. So some of them we have here. One lived on a boat for a year. Another one grew up on a Christmas tree farm. So what else do we have here? Goes to Comic-Con every year. I just wanted to share that we have a very diverse set of interesting people, and really excited to share with you. So today, first up is BotDoc. And let's welcome Tracy and Carl to the stage.
BotDoc is transporting data and documents with end-to-end encryption. Not so novel, but we're doing it without PINs, passwords, logins, accounts, or software to download. Furthermore, upon delivery, the encrypted container and all of the data within it evaporate. We have a problem, cybercrime. It's increasing. And to combat this cybercrime, companies are increasing their budgets. And with these budgets, they're adding layers and layers of security around their people, their processes, and their technology. Unfortunately, this comes at a cost, and the cost isn't financial, it's actually convenience. We're making business harder to do. We look at it like a child seesaw, one side being security and the other side being convenience. And as security measures are driven up, convenience factors are driven down. Now the opposite is true as well. As businesses are decreasing their security in order to increase their convenience, they're giving into risk. This is unacceptable. With regards to digital transport, BotDoc has broke the seesaw, delivering the highest levels of security and the highest levels of convenience. So rather than just talk about BotDoc, we're actually going to allow you all to experience a demo today. So Carl is at a financial lending institute. The financial system we have here has BotDoc built into it. And Carl needs 3 things from 3 different people in 3 different locations, let's say. And so we have 3 volunteers today. Would you stand up, please? Dave from US Bank is our borrower. Melissa from Bremer is our co-borrower. And Nate from Plug and Play is a co-signer. So all 3 of them have received a text. You can go ahead and click on that text and open it up to a secure page. Click on Add Doc. Yep, Add Doc. And then I want you to select the borrower and co-borrower, Dave and Melissa. Select Take a Picture, and I want you to take a brand new picture of something. Your name tag for today. It doesn't have to be your license. Co-signer, Nate, you're in the back. Nate, we need a verification of income from you. Same process, hit Add Doc, select Browse, go to your Dropbox, and send us your proof of income as the co-signer. You guys give me the thumbs up when you're done. Cool, Dave's done. We got Nate. Nate in the back is going there. All right. Thank you, Nate. And we'll start pulling up. Excellent. Melissa's done. So Carl has those in this financial system now, and he's pulling those up. And what's notable, and what you guys, all of us in this room just experienced just now, was end-to-end encryption. And just a couple of questions to you 3. Did you need to download software, download an app to do business with me today? Did you need to enter a PIN, a password, or log into an account that you'll never use to do business with me today? No. So if you actually go back to that original text and click on the link, it's no longer usable. It's disposable, and it was just created for that task or that job. Furthermore, if you go back to your camera history, that photo no longer exists on your camera, so we're not leaving a residual trail for a potential hack point. Lastly, all of those documents that are in here, and he's showing them to you now, in this system, have already been overwritten and deleted within this CRM or this financial system from the BotDoc API. So what I was able to do was reach out and grab 3 things from 3 different parties and pull them back into one financial account for Barbara and Bobby borrower today. and it left no residual trail, no footprint left behind from the digital side. All of you in this room today are establishing and accomplishing this with technology that is over-engineered, painful, and cumbersome, which inevitably is just a poor customer experience and not nearly as simple as what you experienced here today with BotDoc. Your customers deserve better. BotDoc is the future of the consumer experience. Thank you.
Thanks. All right. So next up, we have Chris from Grove. Let's hear it for him.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Chris Doyle from Grove. I'm a co-founder there. Thanks for having me here to speak today. I'm excited to share what we've been working on and the progress we've made towards solving a problem that I'm personally passionate about. Grove's mission is to make personalized financial planning honest and affordable for everyone. We know that only 1 in 5 people are confident that they can achieve their financial goals. These goals could be paying off student loans, buying a home, or paying for your children's education. When there's uncertainty around these goals, that creates stress because these are fundamental parts of life. A plan is the answer to this stress. A financial plan provides a roadmap on how to coordinate all these complex elements like budgeting, investing, managing debt, insurance, how to coordinate them to live the life that you want. But this is a human problem. To have confidence in a plan, you need to believe that it reflects your very personal vision of the future. And a human connection is critical to that. But software can make the process more efficient. Financial planning is a massive market, but currently it's painful and it's not accessible. First, you need to find a financial planner that you can trust, which isn't easy. 9 out of 10 are not required to act solely in your best interest. And then you'll have to go through their antiquated processes. Many still use paper forms and will deliver a long, complex, printed financial plan. Grove is completely changing this experience. With Grove, you'll fill out an intelligent online profile where you can sync your accounts so that the information stays up to date. Then you'll talk to a certified financial planner so they can really understand your goals and priorities. Our advisors will then use our planning engine to create a beautiful online plan for you with specific action items. After that, we can provide personalized, ongoing guidance. We'll check in, see if there are any changes in your accounts, provide proactive advice, and make sure you stay on track. We believe Grove is the best end-to-end financial planning service out there, and our clients love it. 9 out of 10 of our clients take multiple actions that we recommend. 25% of our clients per year refer new clients, and our NPS is 80, one of the highest in the industry. So who is this working for? Our clients generally are late 20s to early 40s with over $100,000 household income, and they're focused on goals like buying a home and growing their family. We launched Grove in February to an amazing response. To cut through some of the noise, we asked people to put down a $50 deposit, and now we have a 6-month wait list. We raised $10 million to solve this problem. Right now, we're heads down, we're growing the team, we're expanding our capacity, and we're continuing to improve the product. We're excited to have the opportunity to serve our clients and transform an industry in desperate need of change. Thanks for your time. If you'd like to learn more or connect, you can reach me over email. It's chrisdoyle@hellogrove.com, or you can find me after this. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, so I'm sure some of you experienced a fair bit of traffic on the way in, so we are skipping ahead to Joust. So for those following at home, flip ahead 2 pages, and you'll see Lamine from Joust. All right, let's hear it for him. Good luck, buddy.
What if I told you that there was a developed, wealthy country where nearly half of the workforce lives in constant fear and anxiety of collecting on their paychecks and invoices? Well, my name is Lamine Zarad. I'm the founder and CEO of Joust, a platform that eradicates that anxiety for 83 million people in the United States. We built this platform to address the needs of the exploding economy that's fundamentally transforming the way we work today and certainly in the future. Well, what is the problem? Well, the participants in this economy are non-traditional. Their backgrounds are quite frankly unknown. Income's non-recurring or seasonal. So as a consequence, they're driven away from financial institutions into the arms of a multitude of disjointed technology platforms that not only cost them time and money to collect on their invoices, but they don't necessarily address their biggest pain point and need. And that's essentially an ability to collect. Last year alone, freelancers lost nearly 14% of their receivables to non-paying customers. That's problematic. What is a solution? We certainly believe that a solution is a platform that combines three functionalities: banking, merchant accounts or payments, and then invoice protection. Unsurprisingly, what makes us indispensable to our customers is the invoice protection component. We call it Pay Armor. With our platform, you download the application, you receive an FDIC-insured bank account with a fully integrated merchant account and an invoicing function that guarantees the receipt of your invoices. In fact, as our customer, you have two options. You can either guarantee the receipt within 30 days, or you can instantly fund that invoice well before your customer pays you. Of course, none of that would be possible without the brain trust that backs our company. We bring together decades of institutional experience and consumer product experience. Our COO and head of business development comes from JP Chase. Prior to that, he was with a bank called Simple that was acquired by BBVA. Our head of risk spent time with the CIA, nearly a decade with the CIA tracking bad guys' money. My background, although varied, starts in the intelligence community with a stint on Wall Street and later as a bank regulator with the US Treasury. However, the sort of a common thread throughout that experience for me has always been a drive to create inclusion. And today, I'm excited to announce that we've launched our product with a partner from New York City, a freelancers union, with 375,000 members. And we are launching our product to the public at the end of November, November 28th to be specific. And we're excited to extend the service to 83 million people in the United States. Thank you very much.
Thanks. All right, next up we have Harold from Alchemy. Let's hear it for him.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. My name is Harold Khalid. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Alchemy. And what we're focusing on is enterprise automation. About half of the capital markets workflows and about 30% of enterprise data is unstructured. And so these workflows, of course, are often relying on different kinds of manually formatted data, typically data and documents that end up slowing down our industry and causing an enormous amount of inefficiency. What does a typical workflow look like? Well, someone will receive some information, have to read it, understand the content, find the relevant text, and typically copy-paste it into a spreadsheet, into an application, or a document. And this workflow exists everywhere. Every one of your organizations have it. It exists in the front office, in the middle office, and of course in the back office. And it hasn't been automated because it requires human comprehension. And that's our mission. We are trying to understand documents so we can automate tasks that require human comprehension. And that can open up a tremendous wave of automation. To take this challenge on, we built a team in New York. I have a background at Bloomberg, where I built a business from 0 to over 1,000 clients. Adam, my co-founder who's here today, has 7 years of hands-on experience in NLP and deep learning from X.AI. And Alex has built software for several great New York startups and for Goldman Sachs. So what do? Well, we take documents, PDF documents, Word documents, typically that you receive from your clients or your counterparties, and we do two things to them. First, we apply computer vision to understand the formatting. That makes sense because a lot of documents are formatted so they're easy for humans to understand and read. They highlight the important information. They create different kinds of important clues that you can use, and we use those clues. And secondly, we do NLP so we can turn those documents into actionable data that can automate your process. First of all, let me talk to you about computer vision. Just like self-driving cars overlay boundary boxes on objects like pedestrians, traffic lights, and other cars, we do the same thing, except it's for financial documents. So we find paragraphs, tables, and charts, and we pre-process every single document using computer vision. And that, of course, means we can anchor and provide very clean data for all of our models. So when we do NLP, every single piece of data, we know exactly where it comes from. We use all this layout clues to do much better predictions, and we have specific industry taxonomies and entity resolution built in. This is important. Financial services, after all, is an industry that runs on data, so these taxonomies help you get exactly the insight you want. Now, how do we do it? Well, first of all, we provide an automation tool that allows your users to simply move their manual workflow into our software. If they're highlighting things in a document or a spreadsheet, they'll do the exact same thing in our software. We have active learning that compresses that task, and after a short period of time, the task is automated. We also have a design that's known as human in the loop. So there's going to be no lower level predictions that are passing through our systems. Humans can be introduced, can fix the errors, and our system gets smarter. And finally, you have traceability. So this concern about AI being a black box, it goes away with our approach. With computer vision, we can point you back straight to where in the document the data is coming from. So let me just show you quickly how that works. We have a beta. What you're looking at here is an equity research report where we're taking all of the data out. Some of you that care about this may be really excited to know that we can take table data extremely accurately out of any document that you have. Private company financials, invoice data, et cetera. All of it is automated, and you can see the computer vision and NLP working together to take all the data out of documents to automate the task that many of your users probably are struggling with, which is rote, manual, copy-paste. If this is interesting to you, don't hesitate to look us up. We would love to work with you. We already have POCs with several large financial services institutions. Many of the backers that are behind the program here are interested in this. So we'll find us outside, or you can send me an email at harold@alchemy.io. Thank you very much.
All right, next up we have Kurt from Threshing Floor. Let's hear for him.
Well, I hate to start us off with bad news, but in cybersecurity, the defense is losing. What do I mean by that? In 2017, the global cost of cybercrime rose by 20%, bringing the total cost to a staggering $600 billion worldwide. Meanwhile, in the same time period, the number of threats that security teams have had to deal with has quadrupled, while their ability to remediate them has stagnated. How do I know this? I'm Kurt Barnard, the founder and CEO of Threshing Floor, and I've been on the front lines of cybersecurity for the last decade. I was a cyber threat analyst for the US Air Force. I was a cyber operator for the National Security Agency working the counter-cyber mission. And I was at Incutel on the tech team for cybersecurity investments. Incutel is the venture arm of the intelligence community. I'm here to give you an insider's perspective on the problems and opportunities facing cybersecurity teams today. And to do that, I'd like to talk about one of the most high-profile breaches of the last decade, Target. I'm going to tell you some things that you probably already knew about the Target breach. They were hacked in 2013, 40 million credit cards were stolen, the CIO lost their job, and it cost them a total of $160 million. But now I'm going to tell you some things maybe you didn't know about the Target breach. Target security was actually pretty good. They had a sophisticated suite of security products that worked exactly as intended. And in fact, they were notified of the breach weeks before it actually took place. So what happened? The problem was that alert was drowning in an ocean of false positives, and their security team was completely overwhelmed. So their architecture looked a little something like this. They had state-of-the-art security products that were generating alerts based on any perceived threat to the target network. They hired a third party, a managed security services provider, to monitor these alerts and send only the most critical to their incident response team. And still, the incident responders spend almost 80% of their time chasing down false positives and wasting their time. Now, most companies have something that looks like this. Whether or not they use an MSSP or have an in-house security team, they still have an incident response team that's completely overwhelmed with false positives. So it's clear that this paradigm is totally broken, and it's not a matter of if, but when one of these alerts is going to slip through the cracks. So how are they trying to solve it today? Well, generally, they're trying to solve it with more, either more alerts or more bodies. But more alerts is not the answer. More alerts are actually the problem. In a vast majority of breaches, organizations had an alert ahead of the breach that they were simply unable to find. More bodies would certainly help, but the unemployment rate for cybersecurity professionals right now is 0. There is nobody to hire. This problem requires a technical solution. That's where we come in. At Threshing Floor, we sit between the security products that generate alerts and the teams that monitor them to filter out the vast majority that we know to be false positives caused by internet background noise, allowing your incident responders to focus on only the most critical threats to your enterprise. We do this today leveraging a real-time global threat intelligence system that monitors the background noise of the internet. I'd love to tell you more about it at my booth today. But effectively, we build noise-canceling headphones for cybersecurity professionals. So come talk to me later and let me help give your security team the higher ground. Thank you very much.
Great job. All right, next up we have Michael from Approve. Let's hear it for him.
Hey guys, Michael with Approve. We manage and finance B2B credit programs for customers like Texas Instruments, Boxed, Cretech, and a few dozen others. So what is a managed credit program? Well, your credit cards are a good example. When you guys go out to dinner tonight, are you actually paying that restaurant? No. The underwriting bank with your card is paying that restaurant on your behalf. That restaurant, if they were to do that themselves, extend you credit, they're acting like a bank, putting their own money up to let you pay later. They'd also have a guy back in the kitchen with a ledger keeping track of what you owed them. B2B still works this way. Everyone uses POs, everyone pays on terms. Suppliers are lending their own money, acting like a bank every single day with their customer. Oh, and they have a ton of people in that back office. It's called an accounts receivable department. Approve's credit network connects suppliers, their customers, and third-party financial institutions to completely manage, automate, and finance their entire credit program. We're a classic software eats old world enterprise play with a direct ROI tied to reduced AR, cost of capital, cash flow, risk, and loss. A few of our customers, they're all over the board, from Texas Instruments and Box down to small business. We're also in a ton of different verticals, mainly because we're pretty inbound driven at this point. We generated 730 leads in August, which was great for us. Nice quote from one of our customers: we're solving similar aspects of pain across the board. People just don't want to be doing this anymore. It is not a core competency to selling carpet squares or solar panels. A few of the KPIs we track, these are, we're beating this in October. November's gonna take a much bigger jump. And this month, we're expanding our program with Texas Instruments to Europe in Q2. They've challenged us to do China, so if anyone wants to talk, let me know. This month alone in October, we signed the total revenue for new customers that we signed is close to $500 million. A few other kind of milestones of note, the transactional size in B2B is just factors different than in the B2C world. The 5.6 is really interesting. This is why you extend terms. It's to drive sales, drive order frequency, increase customer loyalty. it's just a pain to manage and it's expensive. So services like ours are stepping in to do this better, faster, cheaper. We are in the middle of raising a Series A. Happy to connect with anyone who wants to learn more about where we are. In closing, this is a huge market. About 80% of this is on terms. This is a significant pain point within it that we're positioned to solve. So B2B is doing the same turn that B2C did with credit cards. People are realizing that this isn't a core competency to running their business, and they want to get out of the business of doing that. Feel free to connect with me after or through email. We're always looking to talk to new wholesalers, distributors, manufacturers. That's kind of our sweet spot. We do some service providers. We have 2 underwriters currently in our network. We're going to continue to build that out as well. Thank you.
All right, next up we have David from Peanut Butter. Let's hear for him.
The market for talent is hot. U.S. unemployment just hit its lowest point since the 1960s. And if you're a financial institution trying to attract IT professionals, you've probably got job recs that have been open for quite some time. It's just as hard to keep good people on board, though, as it is to attract them, because job hopping is increasing at an alarming rate. For banks, you're probably seeing increased rivalry for middle management among other banks, and it's really tough to keep retail associates. Well, 44 million of the most sought-after workers in our economy are encumbered by student debt, a lot of it. Over the last 15 years, student loans have outpaced disposable income 5 times. There are people that say it's ruining their quality of life. Now, employers have the opportunity to differentiate in the market for talent with Peanut Butter Student Loan Assistance. We help your employees with all of the resources they need to manage their student debt, and we make it easy for your company to contribute toward the repayment of their loans. 70% of student loan borrowers don't know how to find out if they could pay less. With student loan resources, they can organize all of their loans in one place and receive personalized guidance on money-saving tactics and debt-reducing strategies. Some borrowers will save tens of thousands of dollars by refinancing through our refinancing marketplace, where multiple national lenders compete for their business to make sure that your employees get the best deal. For those people who need a little bit more help, there are debt counseling options available. And when your company is ready, you can begin offering student loan repayment. This is the best way to move your talent metrics. Enrollment is facilitated digitally through your employees' accounts. We verify their loans. Then every month, we collect your contribution and send it directly to their loan servicer. The net result is that they get out of debt much faster than they would on their own. You don't have to hire extra HR people to administer this benefit. You don't have to build systems. We handle all of the administration and communications. Surprisingly, companies are not competing for talent on how much they offer in student loan assistance, but on whether they offer this benefit at all. So most companies will start at just $50 a month. And the average employee with student debt will get out from under her loans in 8 years instead of 10, and it save close to $7,000 in principal and interest. Companies can see a third of their workforce get engaged by this benefit. That's 8 times more than most employers see with programs like tuition reimbursement. Every month, we send a consistent, positive, and quantified reminder to your employees, reminding them of the good that your company is doing for them and why the grass is green here. And isn't that what it's all about? Studies are showing that 2/3 of job candidates are willing to accept an offer that includes student loan repayment. In fact, Rise Interactive was already an Ad Age Best Place to Work when their COO said, student loan assistance is a huge recruiting tool for us. It's been a boon to us finding talent. And your employees will stay longer. That can help you reduce the cost of lost productivity, rehiring, and retraining that come along with employee turnover. Medix is a national staffing firm. Their head of people said, we've seen virtually no turnover among those participating in our student loan assistance program. Peanut Butter serves employers across the United States, including publicly traded companies like Ceridian. And since starting the Plug and Play program, we've launched a student loan assistance program for a large financial institution that has over $700 billion in assets. What's unique about our company is that we've been built from the ground up to serve employers. We make it easy for your employees to pay down their debt and for your company to offer this benefit. Our solution is why we've been trusted by leaders in human capital management that distribute us to their own clients, organizations like Aflac and LifeWorks, and as of this month, ADP, the largest payroll provider in the world. Experts forecast that student loan assistance will be a ubiquitous benefit within 5 years. I believe that it will be table stakes for hiring new talent in financial services well before that. In August of 2018, the IRS issued a private letter ruling allowing an employer to integrate student loan repayment with their 401k. An employee who contributes to his student loans under this program can receive company contributions into his 401k. Now, large employers can offer this differentiated benefit in a tax-advantaged way. I'm Dave Aronson, CEO of Peanut Butter. We'd like to make it easy for your company to attract college-educated talent with student loan assistance.
All right, so we have one more before the break. We have Quinn from Revision Credit. Let's hear it for him.
Thank you. For those of you who have seen me before, we were previously known as Mortgage Ready. However, we began offering our services to auto loan industry as well and plan to expand further. So what we do is we provide automated financial guidance to turn down loan applicants and improve financial institutions' bottom line by turning their denied applicants into approvals and subprime borrowers into prime rate refinances. So what's the problem? Well, in the mortgage industry, 35% of all applicants are turned down. Additionally, 40% of those who are approved aren't approved for the best interest rate. Likewise, in the auto industry, you have 5% of applicants that are turned down, 52% that are sub-super prime. Financial guidance is just far too time-consuming and costly for lenders to provide one-on-one for each one of their consumers. So what's the opportunity for the financial institution? Well, if you take the numbers, 61% of their mortgage leads and 55% of their auto loan leads are opportunities should that consumer improve their financial situation. This equates to 8 million mortgage applicants annually and 20 million auto loan applicants. So what's our solution? The solution is an automated web platform, an API, that allows lenders to nurture these clients until they become qualifiable. So how does it work? Well, step one is the lender needs to add the applicant. This can be done manually on the web platform or through the API. They need to set their goals. So this is their credit score, DTI, and cash on hand. And then close the loan. So how does it work for the loan applicant? Well, we take the lender's goals, we take their credit profile and asset information, and we output exactly how they should allocate their assets, give them targeted recommendations, and step-by-step instructions on how they can get there. So our business model is, it's a cost per user, which we're generating $25 per user, and then advertisement revenue through the products we're recommending. Our financial institutions can expect to see a 750% return on their investment on average. So how are we getting to market? We're currently in beta with one of the largest auto brokers in the country, and we're looking to build out a robust API to integrate with some of the larger banks. Why now? We're really trying to replace credit repair. You see this in the industry where loan officers are referring to credit repair because they don't have a solution for these turned down applicants, and they spend so much time and effort generating these leads.
We feel like this low-tech process that costs on average $100 a month is primed to be replaced. Our team, I'm the founder. I'm a second-time founder. Jerry McWilliams, our chief data officer, PhD. His dissertation was in executive risk management. And then Paul Kim, who's our CTO, who, for those of you who are familiar with SADA Systems, he was their second employee. We're currently looking to raise a seed round to help build out our API so we can integrate with some of the larger partners who are interested. And I look forward to talking to anybody who is willing to speak further. Thank you.
All right, so we're going to take a 15-minute break. Plan to be back here by, let's say, 35, and we'll see you all soon. Thanks. I have Laura from Stratify. Let's hear it for her.
Okay. Thank you, Evan. Hello, everyone. I'm Laura, co-founder and CEO of Stratify. Great to be here with you today. At Stratify, we provide predictive analytics and decision management solutions for financial institutions. Our technology, which was developed over the last 15 years by my co-founder, Dimitri, has a wide range of potential applications. Today, we'll focus on our credit risk assessment solution for lenders, shown here in these screenshots, and how we combine the benefits of both expert systems and machine learning in one unified solution while avoiding the drawbacks of either approach on its own. I don't need to tell the people in this room that lending is difficult today. The changing economic climate and the changing nature of borrowers makes lenders' job really challenging. Millennials' average FICO score is well below most rigid thresholds that banks deploy. Millions of immigrants are rejected based only on rigid rules and thresholds for credit history. Millions of workers in the gig economy are also rejected based on rigid income rules. I worked for 12 years in JP Morgan's investment bank, helping some of the bank's largest clients build and deploy risk management strategies, and I was recently rejected by my own bank because my income as an entrepreneur didn't satisfy their rigid requirements. This may not be news for anybody in this room, but how many good borrowers do you think you're saying no to? It's hard to tell, right? What happens to the people you rejected? What about those that don't even bother to apply? We recently ran a study with one of our customers using credit bureau data, and 90% of good borrowers, borrowers that later paid back their loans, were rejected by a bank's legacy rigid business rules. Banks want to say yes to these customers, but they are equipped with the wrong tools. Using legacy business rules to evaluate the borrowers of today is like eating soup with a fork. You get the big chunks, but you miss out on all the great stuff in between. If we take a look at existing solutions, business rules require a ton of maintenance and lack the precision and flexibility needed to describe borrowers of today. Many people believe that AI would ride in on a white horse and save the day. And it does for certain challenges like face recognition. But its black box nature introduces significant risks and limitations that financial institutions just can't afford. What about these challenges in between that are at the heart of financial institutions, where neither solution on its own does the job? What if you could combine the power of AI with the IQ of your experts? That's exactly what Stratify helps you do. If we look at existing solutions, as you add accuracy, you do so at the sacrifice of transparency. Stratify is here, offering accuracy in line with that of a neural net, but with the full transparency and control of an expert system. How we do this? It's not magic. We do it by taking your rules and making them flexible, and then using our proprietary engine to train those rules and find additional rules that add predictive value. Let's first take a look at how our accuracy compares to that of advanced AI-based solutions. These are the results we achieved with one of our customers. The accuracy of models built on Stratify's platform was in line with that of a neural net, but with significant added benefits that makes it actually safe and usable by a financial institution. Now let's take a look at how we compare to heritage expert systems. These are the results that one of our customers, LendKey, achieved with models built on Stratify's platform. By combining LendKey's vast expertise and Stratify's technology, using the exact same rules and variables, and just making a few of those rules flexible, as you see here, We were able to generate significant improvement and approve a multiple amount of loans, while also reducing defaults. When adding additional rules mined by Stratify's engine, our augmented model performs even better. Want to see how many more approvals you could be giving while still maintaining control of your risk? Let's run a pilot. Want an AI-powered model that's still safe, compliant, and easy to deploy? Let's run a pilot. Still think all of this sounds a bit like magic? Come talk to us and we'll tell you more. Thank you so much.
All right, so up next we have Ben from Accrualify. If I said that right. You're gonna have to pronounce it.
Yeah. There we go. Hello. Good morning still. My name is Ben Portasak. I am the CEO and co-founder of Accrualify. We are a complete spend management solution. So what does that mean? We handle the procure to pay process. So, we manage purchase orders, vendor onboarding, invoice automation, and payments. Our value proposition. So let me try and explain the problem. Right now, companies are processing invoices, bills coming in from their vendors, unable to communicate with those vendors. We streamline that. We facilitate that. We make it transparent. We open a line of communication between the vendor and the purchaser. So you could consider us a VRM, vendor relationship management solution. Our value proposition is that, in and of itself. We streamline the communication back and forth. We also help with vendors that are submitting paper invoices, tail spend, those invoices that have not been predicted by the purchaser. We use our technology to extract that data and synchronize it with your ERP system. We are scalable. So whether you're processing 100 invoices, 1,000 invoices a day, our system can accommodate that. And we do white label our solution. So we partner with banks, ERPs, et cetera, to deploy. We're also the only procure-to-pay solution that automates accruals. This is communication that comes from your vendor on fees that they've incurred but have not billed you for. That is humongous. For larger enterprise companies, Fortune 500 and the like, they're managing spreadsheets, mail merges. They're sending out these emails to thousands of vendors. How do those vendors respond? Well, our system streamlines that. It creates a centralized communication with those vendors. They come back, respond, the internal account managers review, and then it synchronizes with your ERP. Another one of our secret sauces, our machine learning, our OCR. When an invoice comes in, our system will take that image, whether it's a JPEG, whether it's a PDF, we extract the key components of that bill/invoice. We give you the vendor name, we give you the payment terms, we give you the GL coding. Accounting and finance organizations love us because we provide a solution that streamlines their efforts. It's an easy sell to CFOs. They are able to understand by streamlining this and removing the data entry, you're saving me costs, you're replacing an FTE. Our system itself has a streamlined UI. I always joke it's made by accountants for accountants, so it looks like an Excel spreadsheet. They're able to manipulate the data and extract the data. This, I'll stay with this. This is a visual of some of the partnerships that we have and how the payment flow works. So we've integrated with some tier 1 banks, some providers for domestic and international payments. We're interested in working with more banks. We can either white label our product so that you can offer it to your enterprise customers as a bill pay solution. We sit in the middle of the ecosystem, so we integrate with all major ERP systems. We are on the app exchanges. It's a very sleek communication back and forth with these different ERP systems. And then we communicate directly with the vendor. So we have the capability of pulling W-9s, W-8 bends, bank information straight from the vendor, provided to the purchaser, allows for a smoother payment solution. So thank you for your time.
All right, so we have quick cancellation by Capway. She was not able to make it, so if you guys want to skip ahead to Diffitech, and you guys are here from Marcus right now. Let's hear for him. Look great. I like your outfit.
Hello, everyone. My name is Marcus Lampinen, and I am the founder and CEO of Diffitech. At Diffitech, we believe that software developers are the bankers of the future. And it is our mission to equip them, as well as organizations, forward-thinking organizations of any size, with the right tools to launch and scale financial services applications and products. We're doing this on a pay-per-use model, built on open APIs, and complete future-proofing. Now we're all here because financial services is changing. I'm going to show you a little bit of what that looks like from our point of view. First, looking at some regions where our clients operate, and then looking at some industries. We're launching an application in Indonesia, 260 million people, most of whom fall outside the traditional financial services sector. We're powering this application that does small, meaningful loans for those that are outside the traditional sector. In Vietnam, 95 million people, 30 million bank accounts, 5 million credit cards. What we're doing there is we're powering the back office operations for mobile apps that do access to capital for small and medium-sized enterprises. Let's look at some industry verticals. Real estate finance has been huge for us. We worked there on the origination side, creating access for investors to participate in real estate construction finance, both residential and commercial. We created different types of liquidity solutions, fractionalized mortgages, and powered the onboarding, origination, all the way to the actual settlement, underwriting, repayments, and yield distributions. We worked in commodity trade finance to make the transactions between different participants meaningful, efficient, but also effective, by using a transparent, multi-layered blockchain solution through our blockchain API. We worked with an industry consortium, multi-party consortium that trades with one another, that keeps track of what balances are owed between different parties. Unfortunately, it takes them up to 120 days to settle. We brought that down to overnight. That saves them tens of billions of dollars, but it also potentially reduces or eliminates the entire fraud in that sector. Now, we're very fortunate as a team to have worked with these types of pioneering applications around the world. But we worked with over 100 industry leaders, some of whom are also in this room, all the way from structuring and standardizing private investments in public equities, lowering the cost, increasing the participation in real estate finance, as well as these new models, such as tokenized funds, equity crowdfunding, peer-to-peer marketplaces. What we do is we provide this API-first back-office framework that is bank-grade audited, pay-per-use, fully modular, and future-proof in order to launch and scale an application. We're based here in the Bay Area. We have an additional office in New York, one in London, and one in Hong Kong, from where we launch and run our global operations. We'd love to talk to you about what you have on your roadmap, and we'd love to be your partner on the boldest initiatives that you have coming up. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, next up we have Marios from Bouquet AI. There you go.
Hello, everyone. I'm Marios. I'm the co-founder and chief operating officer of Bouquet.ai. We launched our product Aristotle a few months ago. We have been privileged since then to work with companies we not even dreamed we will work with. So we're working 4 of the top 100 companies in the world. Some of them, you know, in the financial sector. We are now running a pilot with MassMutual, a big insurance company. We are having already completed the pilot with Salesforce. And there are some other companies that I cannot mention their names, but you can guess. The list of the 100 is not so big. We came with Aristotle trying to address a problem that most companies face today. Before going to the problem, I would like to show something from Gartner. This is the transformation that is going to happen to every organization around the world. Maybe the biggest companies need to do it earlier. Smaller companies need to do it maybe following them. The transformation is that people will not anymore use reports. People will not anymore use technology to run analytics, to get the insights they need to run their business and serve their customers. They are going to use natural ways where the technology actually disappears, like natural search, natural queries. And actually, this will increase significant productivity. Why this is needed? What is the pain? Since 1990, maybe most of you have been using different type of reporting tools, maybe Tableau, maybe some people are using Cognos, IBM, small or expensive. All of them, they try to solve the pain, how to get access to the data in exactly the same way. You have analysts, I'm pretty sure all of you have hired quite a few of those, where they are crunching data and we do a lot of work, but at the end of the day, what the business people get is either an Excel report, a printed report, a PDF report. Think of you today. If you want now, during the break, to check your business on your mobile phone, can you open a report? If you are in a meeting room and you have a question about one insight, are you going to browse 100 reports that you have in your organization to find the number you are looking for? No, you don't do that. And if you try to do, you will see something like this. This is Salesforce reporting on a mobile phone. This is what you will go to do if you are managing a sales team and you would like to know your opportunities over than 50K. This will not work. That's why you don't do it. That's why it slows down your business. There must be a better way. And this is a better way. This is Aristotle. We launched, as I said, 3 months ago. We started with Slack. Now we have Aristotle in Alexa. So initially it was text. Now it's text and voice, where people can actually ask the questions to Aristotle in the same way you will ask your analyst. And what Aristotle will do, it will create a natural language answer with a very simple visualization that actually will give you the insight you want in the moment you want. And the best way is to show you a demo of what Aristotle does.
Working with Aristotle, your personal analytics assistant, is as simple as having a conversation to get quick and meaningful access to your data. Ask a question and Aristotle replies. Ask a follow-up question and Aristotle answers in context of the conversation. You can talk with Aristotle by voice. For example, how about just for California? Or by text, whichever is more convenient. If Aristotle needs more information to answer your question, it will ask you to clarify. You can drill down into your data with these quick response options, and you can go back in the dialogue to examine previous topics more closely. You can open and see more details about your data, interact with it, send emails, or request a regular report on important areas. Aristotle gives you seamless, rapid access to your data wherever you are, whenever you like.
Thank you very much. If you want to see some more advanced examples, you can see outside. This is a generic example. Of course, we cannot show you confidential Aristotle, but we can talk more on our booth. Thank you.
All right, next up we have Julian from Opal AI. Thank you.
At Opal, we use AI to build AI. But before we get into that, I want you to imagine. And when you do, I want you, whoops, well, we're on the wrong slide there. Maybe the wrong deck. Holy smokes. All right. I want you to imagine, I want you to go back to those golden ages when you were a child and anything was possible. You want to be an astronaut. You want to be a firefighter. You want to be a superhero. AI right now is at its inception. We don't know what we can't do with it. The Wright brothers imagined flight. They were told it was impossible. Well, what did they do? They went out and became inventors, mechanics, engineers, and eventually pilots, and they made that imagination a reality. But just like the rest of these amazing technological revolutions, they all have one thing in common. They did not transform society. They did not change the way we run our businesses or behave as humans until they were three things. And those three things are easy, cheap, and ubiquitous. And I think we can all agree that AI right now is none of those three things. That is our mission at Opal, is to be the driver of that transformation within AI. And one of the things that we really like to instill, a paradigm in our customers, is this concept that imagination should be your only limiter, not the technical acumen of your team. So the traditional data science process, when we look at this, the data scientist's biggest value that they're bringing to the company is strategic problem formulation, working with your business people, figuring out their problems, and they go through this very complex manual process of actually building a model. Oftentimes it takes many months, maybe 6 months, a year, before they get there. And then even when they get it into production, it comes out in all sorts of different formats. Sometimes it can't even be in production. Well, Opal puts that data scientist or a data analyst or even your business domain experts in the position to start to do that strategic problem formulation and actually deliver to the corporation. And it does that through our proprietary technology here, our core AI, that we call behavioral assimilation. And what behavioral assimilation does is it's modeling the behavior, the skills, but most importantly, the intuition of the world's top data scientists, and putting into the hands of our customers a platform that enables all those folks I mentioned from the bottom to the top to actually build and deploy production-grade AI models in minutes, hours, or maybe a day or two. It's automating all of those very, very difficult concepts or code that you have to write. And on the bottom, it's actually doing all of the DevOps. So if you're loading a 5 gig file or a 10 gig training file, it will build it in memory. If you're loading in terabytes of data from training files, it will know it needs to build it out of memory. So, and in the end, that massive ensemble that might come out gets compressed into a highly performant, lightweight model that can be deployed on the edge, on a phone, in any environment. So it becomes wash, rinse, repeat for IT. So let's take a quick look at this. We're going to load up a job here, upload our data, and what you're going to see here is a very simple process where as soon as you've realized what you're trying to accomplish, you've got that hypothesis, you then go and check to make sure the system loaded it in properly, understood it, and you can make changes if you need to the data. You're then going to go ahead and build the model. But the key thing to notice here is we highly recommend that you set the runtime to 20 minutes. See if it works. This is a classification problem. Click Optimize. You're on your way. That's the end of human interaction. At this point, Bayes or behavioral assimilation brings all of these algorithms in to do benchmarking, which you'll see in just a moment as we bring one of these up. And in doing so, we're not just doing force ranking or brute force benchmarking. It's actually doing full hyperparameter optimization and feature engineering. And all the while, Bayes is learning from those peak performing attributes, produces a model that you can access via an API, allows you to test it, get a test prediction, verify that it works, and then give you the actual code to put it into production. So we've got a very powerful team of leaders. Pedro Alves has over 12 years of experience in the AI world. He's our founder and CEO. Todd Hay has over 30 years of building enterprise platforms at companies like BEA, Adobe, Yahoo, IBM, and myself. I've been at a lot of very great organizations myself. So in closing, now that you can actually build AI models in as little as minutes, hours, or days, I want to talk to you about how that transforms the way you look at AI within your corporation. So please come and see me outside, and I look forward to speaking with you. Thank you.
All right, so up next we have Elon from Vray. Let's hear it for him.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Elon, and I'm the CEO of Vray. At Vray, we have a core hypothesis that over time, the form factor for payment cards will abandon the plastic form and move into a digital form, otherwise known as digital wallets, embedded in our phones. What makes me say this is I've managed card programs at large and mid-sized institutions like Wells Fargo and Intuit, tackling different problems for addressing payments. I have a fantastic tech team that supports me. I have Jack Shaw, who's our CTO, who spent over a decade at Qualcomm developing mobile technology. And we also brought aboard Andy Bond, who's also fantastic at mobile technology and security. At Vray, what we're developing is mobile payment technology that makes sense for the proper use cases. We believe that over time, the card-not-present transactions will dwarf card-present transactions. What I mean by that is all the instances where you don't stick a card in a reader over time will supplant the use cases where you actually do stick a card in a reader. Today, I want to talk to you first about our very first product, which is our e-com product. I'll walk you through it. It's very simple, very easy use case. Here I'm on my Windows laptop. I'm browsing with my Chrome browser. I'm buying socks at one of my favorite merchants, which is Mullet Socks. I click the button that says check out with mobile, and if you will notice, we support all the digital wallets that are EMVCo certified. You will see that I'm notified on my device that I can buy a pair of socks for $9.99. No data entry, nothing for the consumer to enter, very simple. I biometrically authenticate the transaction, and I'm finished. You'll see from the page of the consumer, from the standard e-commerce website, the transaction is finished. Very simple, very easy. And what I think makes it interesting for the consumer is there's no app to download. If you saw that, there was no app, there was no password, there was no login. All the things that create friction during the transaction, we've eliminated. We know that merchants want more transactions that are friction-free, and merchants want more secure transactions. So how do we do it? At Vray, we sit on top of the existing payment rails. We sit on top of Apple Pay, Google Pay, and any emerging wallet that follows the EMVCo standard. And anytime the consumer wants to shop with these products, we allow them to leverage and extend the products that they already have. We know that that the kind of transactions that we see at the point of sale, Apple Pay and Google Pay, they work, but they don't address the core use case, the core pain point of a consumer. Because sticking a card in a reader is not much more difficult than tapping a phone at a POS device. However, when we get to card-not-present transactions, we start talking about typing in card numbers into browsers or into phones. We start talking about driving over toll bridges and having to have beacon the technology set off. We begin to understand that these card payment transactions become much more difficult. Today, we're working on mobile and web transactions, and next year we'll have voice. Again, all the use cases where typing in a card number or stating a card number becomes more complicated. And so you guys know that this is real technology. I encourage you to go to our first merchant, which is mulletsocks.com, and make a transaction and let me know what you guys think about Vray technology. Come by and see me at my booth and tell me how easy the transaction is. Thank you.
All right, so up next we have Kayvon from Compliance AI. Let's hear it for him.
Thank you so much. Compliance.ai is a regulatory technology-focused solution addressing the needs of the financial sector, specifically serving compliance teams, giving them a fresh view and a fresh perspective on how to deal with regulatory changes. We look at the challenge that compliance teams face in terms of keeping up with regulatory changes before, during, and after rules are made. Everything from proposed rules, registered notices, guidances, reports, to executive orders, and last but not least, enforcement actions. Who got fined? What was the fine amount? What was the penalty? What was the violation? And we see organizations spending a huge amount of time trying to manage this at different jurisdiction levels, be it federal, state level, international. And what this has led to is two approaches that traditionally are being used. One is let's throw bodies at it, and let's try to staff up. And we find that that's time-consuming, error-prone, non-scalable, and frankly, an approach that can be solved now through automation, as I'll explain later. And we saw another disturbing trend. Well, a lot of companies stopped paying attention to the actual rules and start paying more attention to the actual enforcement actions to see if something is relevant to them at the tail end of it. In many cases, this may be too late. In fact, one of the most popular aspects of our solution today is the subscription that we get off the charts to our enforcement action curated reports. This has become a priority for organizations, and they're spending a good amount of attention to it, and we're addressing how companies can do a better job of managing regulatory changes. We accomplish this by serving different constituents at the organization, Should you care about the change that just happened? How is it relevant to your role? If you're dealing with anti-money laundering, you're only going to see content relevant to you. If you're only dealing with privacy or cybersecurity, that's the only content that gets presented to you. We bring content over from various sources. At this point, over thousands of sources, 3.3 million regulatory documents have been aggregated, brought together, lower the noise level, and give you just the content that's relevant to you and your organization, classify them automatically by taking advantage of artificial intelligence and purpose-built machine learning models for those topics across a variety, a pretty comprehensive variety of document types that you would care about. The traction we've had so far has been with banks, insurance companies, fintech, and some of the financial services organizations. The key objective is to automate and simplify processes that are typically time-consuming. How do you track the changes? How do you prioritize what's important to you? How do you classify them and put them in the right bucket? And how do you automatically assign tasks to individuals who are held responsible for that? Take advantage of expert in the loop, a novel approach to artificial intelligence that uses a weighted approach to experts that are chief compliance officers, current former regulators, law professors, and even law students to achieve the type of curation we're looking at, to then send you automatic focused reports, automatic focused analysis, and the creation of a calendar which has one distinct difference with the typical calendar that you interact with. No human being created this. This is based on what the company was following. The obligations were extracted automatically and presented to the users on a timely fashion. And now the user logs in, and all they have to do is pay attention to their obligation and their tasks that are created for them automatically. Take a 30-page document and provide a 6-paragraph abstract summary of the obligations relevant to this regulatory document. Try to do that at a pace of 200 to 300 documents being published a day with lawyers. Costly, time-consuming, error-prone, and not scalable. Ultimately, provide a refreshing way to interact with this content and provide a key advantage over the approaches that we see today in the market, reducing the noise significantly, providing instant access to what has changed around you, and finally, make sure that you're up and running within seconds as the promise of SaaS is delivered to the compliance professionals. And of course, use expert in the loop to make sure that the content is not just machine curated, but is vetted and looked at by experts that are helping with that content curation process. We're here and would be happy to answer any questions you may have. Look forward to your feedback. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, so we have one more startup, and that is Amy from Kindy. Let's hear it for her.
Good morning. So Kindy is the only explainable AI platform that allows you to take any kind of unstructured data or text and make it actionable and searchable. This is an RFI, and you can see a couple of highlights. We all know the amount of data and unstructured text that we have to read continues to expand exponentially. And it's very difficult to be able to get that information to a subset of the information that's really relevant to our lives. And it's got to be explainable. AI is progressing more and more so that we're making decisions. If you can't understand it, it doesn't matter. Here's a quote from one of the former execs at Capital One describing how a lot of the deep learning efforts that they would love to use, they just can't. One of the other challenges in terms of some of the current approaches around AI is that it requires a large amount of labeled data sets. That's great if you're Google, great if you're Facebook. If you're a normal enterprise organization, you may not have a huge amount of data, and you certainly don't want to have a bunch of people sitting around labeling that data before you can even get started. And in addition, I can't emphasize enough the importance of having the explanation. So how the heck do we do this? What we've done is we've combined a number of different approaches. Specifically, we do use machine learning, but we combine that with a knowledge graph. that allows us to be able to extract the information out of the text. We parse it using natural language processing. We convert it into math and into these structures that are called spectrals that allow us then to match the different math functions. And that is what allows us to really understand what's in the information. It also allows us to be able to track it back and light up how that answer was received, which is something that's critical for a business person. Summer's been kind of crazy. I remember being back up on stage here a few months ago, and we've had just a great summer. In June, we were highlighted in a feature story in the New York Times by Steve Lohr, who's a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist. And what Steve was really fascinated by was our ability to be able to extract information from small data sets, which is really critical for enterprises. So I encourage you to take a look at that. How do we do it? We ingest the documents, we apply natural language processing. As I mentioned, we convert it into graphs. We do have a human in the loop and subject matter experts that can provide updates and allow that to be incorporated. And then our first application area is around cognitive search. That's applicable across many different financial use cases. Some of that we see right now are around risk management, compliance, doing any kind of asset analysis, and really just identifying anomalies. Anywhere where you'd apply analysts or folks that are reading lots of information is where you'd see our work. The examples that you're going to see in terms of the impact, it's typically a 100x improvement. It's kind of crazy, but if you think about the amount of time an analyst has to sit and really extract and see what's happening. I'll show you a couple slides in terms of looking at the collection. You could do a cognitive search against this information with either a phrase or a really lengthy phrase. We take it and extract all of the entities, put it into a graph, and that allows a subject matter expert to always they're able to see what's there and really identify some anomalies they may not have even been aware that they were thinking about. But the real key is, and I think I had a customer who told me, hey, look, Amy, I'm trying to find a needle in the haystack, and what you've done is you've made the haystack a heck of a lot smaller. And I think that really is a great description in terms of what we do. We don't require these large data sets, so there's not a lot of upfront time in terms of getting up and running, and it's explainable. So again, it's been a crazy summer. We've been receiving a lot of recognition. It's just been a super time, and hopefully get a chance to talk to all of you out there. And that's my contact information. Thank you very much.
All right, so that was the last startup of the day. I'm sure you guys are like me and feeling pretty excited about everything we saw. So if you wouldn't mind, we are actually doing a People's Choice Award. So on the back of your registration card, you go to the event brochure link, and there you'll be able to vote what you guys think is the best startup of the day or the most exciting for your organization. So take some time to do that. I'd like to welcome up our colleague, Matt Helmers, who is going to announce and present the Corporate Innovation Award. So let's welcome Matt.
All right, guys, thank you very much for coming today. We really enjoyed having all of you here. But yeah, so really we wanted to take the time to recognize two of our corporate partners today. Really, in order for us to really work with these corporations and startups, it takes a joint effort between the champions within the internal innovation teams at these organizations. And so first off, we'd like to highlight TFS, Toyota Financial Services. So I'm going to play a quick video, but before I do that, I just want to talk about the scope of this relationship. Really stems down to working with 3 different teams. So we've been working with them in Plano, Texas, in Japan, and then also in Frankfurt, Germany. And really the kind of cause and effect of this relationship has been phenomenal. And I'll have Hugo speak a little bit more about it. But him and I have worked closely together for the past 3 months to basically put together what we've called the Toyota Innovation Startup Summit. And what that allowed Toyota to do was to really sit down with individual business units and describe key pain points within their industry, within their problem sets, and then allow them to reverse engineer, to reverse pitch with these business units and startups identifying a problem. And so with that, we're super excited to have Hugo here today. And so we're going to show a quick video of what we did with those business units and then invite Hugo up to share a few words.
We need to inspire our own people to think differently, and I think these startups that Plug and Play brings to the table will allow us to start our impossible.
Looking at the world today, we do not move quick. We will not be here tomorrow.
This is the start. This is not the event of the goal. This is the event of the start of our collaboration.
This was extremely different than any of the other events we've ever been to.
To see, the CEO of financial services sitting there and all these senior people and the teams asking questions, engaging with these companies, and even being interested in setting up an event like this, it shows that it's not marketing talk.
It is fantastic to see such a great organization embrace the culture of entrepreneurship and startup.
I've never seen people rally in so much excitement at Toyota. I think it demonstrates how serious we are about innovation and becoming a leader as opposed to a fast follower.
Toyota is such an enormous global company. It would be almost impossible for a person or a group of people to really keep their pulse across manufacturing and operations and IT and software.
Plug and Play allows us to work together with startups and has enabled us to identify pain points or opportunities that we otherwise wouldn't have been able to find solutions for.
The goal of the Plug and Play Toyota Financial Services relationship is to really allow startups to understand how TFS works and allow Toyota to look into the future using and working with startups.
We are excited to work with startups because it gives us exposure to a lot of the best thinking that's out there.
These are people that have an outside view and have a different perspective. And by taking that perspective and that passion will really invigorate your business.
It's an opportunity for a win-win. If we can show the partnership, if we can find some entrepreneurs, if we can find some solutions, we can get it to market, we build up the capability to get there faster, and the others get to win with their solutions and their expertise.
My advice to everyone would be embrace the startups, embrace the new ideas, embrace the challenges that they help us solve, embrace the people who bring creative ideas and can help motivate our people. And every other company should be doing the same thing.
So really all this buzz is great, right? It's a start, but when Hugo comes up and speaks today, he's going to talk about the result of this program, what we're moving towards, and what we're doing with these startups that actually worked with TFS in terms of piloting, in terms of moving forward with the business units. I probably speak to Hugo more than he does his wife, so we're on the phone pretty often. Yeah, I'd love to welcome up Hugo. We just presented the award last week to the global CEO, so we don't have the physical plaque today because we were in Japan last week. But thank you very much, TFS, and Hugo, I'd love to welcome you guys up. Thank you. Give him a round of applause. Thank you, Wilson.
All right, thank you, Matt. So good morning, good afternoon, Team Plug and Play and corporate partners and startups. So my name is Hugo. I'm from Toyota Financial Services. So once again, thank you, Saeed, and also the FinTech team for the very honorable awards, Corporate Innovation Awards. So I still remember back to the summer summit for the mobility badge, which is on there in the June or July, that our chief officer, Mr. Tomimoto, came up to the stage and announced our global partnership with the Plug and Play. So it's been only 5 months partner with the Plug and Play. And when I received the news from Matt, okay, we won the awards. And then I asked Matt, is this something like a Rookie of the Year for the FinTech badge? And he said, oh, no, this is more for reward for the corporate doing something innovative. So as you saw the movie today, that's what we do. And also, I would like to share a short story about how we came up with this idea. And also, Saeed kindly visited our headquarters last week, and we had just exactly the same event in Japan. And before the meeting between our global CEO, Mr. Fukutome, and then Saeed, Mr. Fukutome asked me, okay, Hugo, congratulations. And how honorable is this? And I said, I think it's very honorable. So I think this is a very great for the TFS, even we have only a very short experience in innovation space. And now I would like to share with you a little bit about the innovation journey together with Plug and Play by describing with the 3 keywords. So I call it like a 3 I's. So I number 1 is imitate. So our team is only established in 2016, only 3 years experience with a very small team within TFS. So we need to learn from our corporate partner how the OEMs and the banks are doing to accelerate the corporate innovation. And also we learn from we listen to the people, and we meeting lots of startups, what the expectation for the corporate from a startup point of view. So we spend a couple months on the imitation learning phase, and next, I number 2 is to improve. So we as a Toyota has a DNA of a Kaizen, which is a continuous improvement. So after learning a lot of initiatives by corporate, we want to make a better services or a better program together with Plug and Play. So we came up with the idea, okay, maybe my role will be the catalyst between the business unit and also the startups. But why can we have a more engagement for the business unit, who will be our potential internal customer together with startups? So I start to have an internal communication and also buy-in from the executives saying, okay, we need a business unit who will be the owner of a program to participate in our program called the Toyota Startup Summit from the beginning, so that they will feel the more ownership and also the commitment. So as a result, within 5 months, as Matt mentioned, we have already implemented in the US and Japan and Europe in the next years. And so far, the result of this program in the US, we are having several pilots already planned within this fiscal year, and more we have also in Japan as well. So I think within very limited short time, we have seen a good result so far. So my role will be to make sure embracing those business units and also startups to deliver for the commercialization, not only for the POC or proof of value. So I think that's how we have already implemented with the Plug and Play. And since this corporate innovation award is not for the rookies, so we want to make more better services. So the number 3 I number 3 is to innovate. So we are still learning phase. We don't know whether this is the right approach or not. So we will challenge Plug and Play to improve our program together with them, how we can accelerate the corporate innovation. So as a closing, we will continue this program for the next batch. So hopefully, I will come back on the stage and getting the second 2 consecutive awards for the corporate innovation. So we are very hungry for the innovation and hungry for the result. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Hugo. So next up, I'd really like to take a moment to really look at a very unique partnership which was formed about a year ago. We've been working with these folks on a high level, and really the reason why we wanted to take a minute to recognize them today is because they've actually gotten involved on a very large scale. So we work directly with a firm called RSM, very large consulting firm. And basically what we've done with them is we've taken the approach of working with folks across the US to establish relationships with their partners and with their staff and to connect them with startups. And one thing that was very unique about this relationship is as they've been involved with Plug and Play, they've actually created an initiative to promote Jeff to Chief Strategy Officer, who's a gentleman who's been in the firm for a very long time. And one thing that's very unique about this is they've positioned themselves to actually engage many folks within the firm to work with our deal flow sessions, to work with our selection days and expos in order to not only bring startups internally to their clients, but also to engage outward as well. And so they also have brought on Brad, who's been leading the initiative directly with us in our Plug and Play team. He's been very instrumental in getting people involved, and so this really award encompasses the amount of folks that have engaged, the number of startups that they've met, and really the global scale too. We've got folks today like Peter Brady coming in from their New York office, and then we also have got the West Coast presence as well with Tim out here. So I'm pretty excited because their whole financial steering committee is here, and it's been a great relationship so far. And the reason why I chose to really make an impact and push them forward to this award is for them to actually continue this effort. So it's really just the start, and I'd like to grow it and continue it with them as well. So with that, I'd like to call up Brad and his colleagues to come up here and accept the award. Thank you. And they actually get a physical award, unlike TFS. Theirs is in Japan. And Brad will say a few words, and yes, thank you very much, Brad.
Thank you, Matt. And thank you to Plug and Play. As Matt mentioned, this is really just the beginning of our relationship. And much like the gentleman from TFS mentioned, that for us it was really an opportunity for us to open our eyes and really see what different ways people are innovating and what different technologies are being applied inside corporations. For us, it's not just a way for us to see how we can help digitally transform our firm, but it's also a way for us to think about how can we then bring these technologies to our clients. So we really thank Plug and Play for putting this platform together, and thank you to Matt for helping us think about how we can continue to stretch and evolve the relationship. Matt's been really innovative in his thinking with regard to, it's not just about having a few select individuals from the firm come out and interact with Plug and Play and the startups. You can see here the entire team. This is just a segment of our National FinTech Steering Committee. So we're even leveraging Plug and Play to help us shape our perspective as we go to market and determine how the evolution of this space is taking shape. So I happen to be the person talking, but really there's a number of individuals here and others that aren't present. Jim Greisch here, quick wave. Jim was really responsible for starting the relationship with Bob Jacobson, and then Tim Tiefenthaler here followed closely. And then the other individuals on the stage were very quick to jump in and really support the effort. So thank you to Plug and Play, Matt, and the entire team. I'm looking forward to continuing to grow the relationship.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. Yes. Yeah. It's funny because some of these guys I haven't seen here for a while, and Peter Brady, actually, I initially saw him and hadn't recognized him, and it's good to see them back here in the U.S. So or out here in Silicon Valley. So with that, thank you very much, and we're going to hand it back over to Evan. But those are the two companies that we'd like to highlight today. So thank you.
All right, let's hear it again for Toyota and RSM, great innovators in the space. All right, now the moment all the startups have been waiting for. It's the People's Choice Award, and the people have spoken, and they agree that David from Peanut Butter is the People's Choice startup today. Let's hear it for him. And we don't have a nice plaque for you, but we do have a set of AirPods, so just as good, right? All right, let's hear it for him. Thank you. So another great moment. One of my favorite things about these events is we get to have our CEO come and speak. He's, the whole reason why this exists and, why we get to welcome you guys. So let's hear it for Saeed Hamidi, our CEO.
Thank you so much, Evan. As
RSM team, I think you guys are a bigger group than us, no. But I would love the FinTech team to come up as I am talking. It's really, I wanted to emphasize that this innovation platform, it's really yours, everybody in this room. And we would love to have you tell us what we should focus on in the future. Like specifically in Stuttgart, every 6 months, we choose 5 key areas that Mercedes, Porsche, ZF is interested in, and we search the world to solve those 5 problems. So today, I really urge all of our corporate partners, the startups that are in the room, to guide us what we should focus on the next batch. And we will listen to your request and make sure we do that. The other point I wanted to make is I saw there were great startups presenting, but something else that we are doing, because I just came back from Japan and last month I was in Frankfurt, we are going to bring to Plug and Play platform later stage startups. We have done that with our insurance vertical or supply chain. And quite frankly, one of the supply chain vertical had raised $100 million, which usually would not pitch in an event like this. But we feel if you're going to implement in 3 continents with 3 large banks, if you have 100 people in your startup, it is still a startup to a large global bank. So next time you come here, you will see about 30% of our startup be late and growth stage. Let me show a hand. Do you guys think that's a good idea? Hallelujah. Thank you. So then the last is this afternoon, we have a really interesting group of startups for cybersecurity. I would say cybersecurity has become an agenda item in every board meeting. And again, little Plug and Play, we were hacked 2 months ago. And now I really would like these companies this afternoon to solve my problem. Because if we are hacked, imagine what a bank or a financial institution has to go through. But the team is growing every day. They work really hard, they tell me, to set this up. And again, thanks to you guys. I'm proud of being part of the team. Thank you. Any last word of wisdom?
Put me on the spot. I like it. I just want to give a quick round of applause to the startups. They're really the stars of the show here. We had 23 committed companies show up in our offices at least once a week. Earlier stage folks usually take more advantage of the opportunity to sit there full-time on site. I know it's tough for these guys to make a meeting on 24, 48 hours, or if you're my man Elon from Vray, 6 hours notice. He drives up from LA last minute. Big round of applause for them, and then obviously all the corporate sponsors in attendance that, one, trust us on a mission to help find the innovative solutions that you guys can actually work with. So thank you. Now on to cybersecurity. So we now have lunch. Lunch is in the back, and then you'll have cybersecurity this afternoon.